Hello, hello, hello. We are back with another episode of Be Victorious. Y'all know who I am. It's Dr. Torie, and I am here with a very, very special guest. What I love about her is that she's doing the best to try to pursue her understanding of ACEs, not just with herself, but with her family. And she's here to tell her story. It's a pleasure and honor for her to be here telling this story. Shehnaz, are you here? There she goes. You know what I love? I didn't realize it till about a month and a half ago. You wrote me a great referral about who I was and how I was and how much of an impact that I make on Facebook, and I greatly appreciate that. Um, because I think we had a genuine connection just based upon the understanding of trying to get to know what ACEs are. So thank you so much for that. How are you today?
It was a little poem and it was all true.
Yes, I
Good.
appreciate it. You're so
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. Well,
Okay.
I'm excited to be here talking to you. I'm nervous,
Yes, and it's
um,
okay. I'm your family. We're
because
family.
I know, but because this is, there's some things that I'm going to be talking about for the first time, I think. I'm not sure to
Yes.
what extent, but um, I want to be as open and authentic and transparent as possible, but just knowing how I came about, how I came to know what ACEs are, I have to also preserve the integrity of stuff, with
Sure.
respect to, like, from a legal perspective, to not
And I
share too
think
much.
I think this will be good because people need to know that this is happening to you, but I can trust you. There are other people out there that this is happening to. And so I don't want you to go into detail at all. I just want you to give us a better understanding of how you interpret adverse childhood experiences. When did you find out about them?
Let me tell you, I've been a physician assistant since 2005. I
Wow.
didn't learn about ACEs until I think it was the very beginning of 2022.
Wow.
If my timing is right, it was around then.
Mhm.
And um, it's since starting to know, hearing about it, and then, wanting to know more, and, that just kept, that's what opened up the door to me, um, really realizing what it means. Like, when you hear healing is not linear. You hear some things, but you don't really know what they mean
Right.
from a personal perspective. And I started to realize, my gosh, like, feeling all these emotions, I'm thinking I'm starting to do better. And then all of a sudden there's like a period of time where you just feel everything so much more. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It could mean like that I'm elevating.
Right.
Yeah.
It is. You're understanding ACEs.
Hmm.
So, quick question. How did you find me?
How did I find? So there were just just a couple people that what you and someone else who she started something national on her own. Um, but I don't know if either of you were the first one. I think it was like
Right.
somehow I accidentally came across, there was a group in California. Like, there's a big mother, anti-domestic
It's
violence, pro
it's
mom,
big. Yeah,
uh,
no, it's huge in
in
California. In
California, right?
2020, Dr. Nadine Burke Harris was the Surgeon General. So it was big back in
Mhm.
2020, and it still is. Let's be clear, it's still big. But yeah, she was heavy for advocating and testing, and she was doing a lot back in the day. So we'll give
And
the
I
credit.
wanted to know more, but and this was not long after I had just started Instagram. I'm new to a lot of things. So it was like the very end of 2021, I think, when I started my Instagram account. But then I wanted to know more, and I went saw their page, and it just, I mean, it was information, but it wasn't hitting my soul. It was, I needed to connect with something better, and I generally will connect with um, and color doesn't matter, religion, race, all that doesn't matter, but this it's just naturally, sometimes some people just vibe better with,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
of color, or if
Hey,
underrepresented, and I've experienced something, it just, it's
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get my foot in my mouth here.
It was natural. It's happened. You like this, sister. It's
Yeah.
okay. Let's be clear. And nothing's wrong with that because ACEs doesn't have a color. When people are going through their childhood traumas and experiencing the things that they're experiencing, there's no color to that at all. It's that experience.
Uh-huh.
And so I've talked to so many people that did not know about it or gathered a better understanding based off of the information that is out there. The crazy thing is the information has been out there.
Mhm.
I just compiled it and made it a little bit more educational and formal for people to understand. And that's okay. I appreciate it. I do. So, what's your ACEs score?
100% sure. And I don't know if
Okay.
anybody, we can't be sure, but just because of how the questions are,
Mm-hmm.
my ACE score could be a 4, it could be a 6 or a 7. It,
Right.
I even tallied it today. I'm like, okay, because of the word often,
Mm-hmm.
does it go on this side or this side? Because I want to be as close as possible for this, and I don't know what my score is. I think that my score is a lot, like if it's a 7, um, to me a 7, it sounds like a lot, but I don't think I had a bad childhood.
Mm-mm.
And
And I
I,
think that's the reason why I'm doing this,
uh-huh,
so people can understand that the score doesn't define you at all. It doesn't. The score just gives you a heads up on the things that need that attention. So say for example, I'm a 4, but due to the new information on there, I'm a 6 because community violence was huge, bullying was huge,
uh-huh,
mass shootings, I lived in Chicago for 25 years, so that adds more to the new study than it would based on the study that they put in 1998, which is the reason why so many people advocate for doing a revision of that because it's years old. And so I'm happy to see the information on there. So it's okay. If you have a 2, if you have a 4, if you have a 7, the number doesn't define you at all. It doesn't. Are you aware of ACEs now?
oh yeah, I am aware of them now. Um, and I felt like it was my obligation to know more,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I I came to know of ACEs because my children, most specifically my youngest, he's now 8.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was like a toddler. He was like a year and a half, 2 years old, and then just post, not just divorce, but post divorce is when most abuse happened in a different way. And he seeing how he responded to parenting exchanges or how he would react to things or how he was like just start scream or be panic when I went to the bathroom. It turns out somebody was telling him when I went every time I went to the that I would leave, that oh, she went to the bathroom. So that's what he associated this, he had this separation anxiety because of what someone else was saying to make it easier, things like that. I started to just, as he was progressing over um, the course of a few years, between his development, and actually he had developmental delay too. So his natural progression of physiologically or and and then the outside factors, it was so mixed to me. Like I was just trying to understand so much, and it's just been it's been a long, it's been quite a learning process,
It
and I'm
is.
grateful because it's helped me be a better parent too.
Right.
And I think I was always a great mom, but it
Right.
really helped me not just parent better, but have more inner peace and have
Mhm.
respond to the world better, and just see things from a completely different perspective. It's crazy how these 3 little letters
Yeah.
could do that.
And what's interesting is you're not the first person on the podcast to say that.
Hmm.
Like the understanding of ACEs can change your life. And I will say honestly, as a parent, it changed mine. I did a lunch and learn yesterday. I did with um it was a mixed crowd, African American men. I like that. And the question came up about whoopings.
Mhm.
And I had to let them know that I did at first, but my understanding of aces has changed my mind about that based on the eye of the beholder. I
Yep.
remember my daughter telling me a story about how she had on this red dress and I picked her up and I gave her this whooping. And I was like, girl, it wasn't that bad. But of course, I wasn't the person that was receiving that.
Right.
You know what I mean? She
Yep.
was. So it kind of made me look at things differently.
Mhm.
And so, of course, I've heard people say, ah, whoopings are couple punishment, or, oh, it's okay. It made me tough. It's not, it depends on the person.
Mhm.
I say that to you as a parent. I get it. It helped me so much just learning, not just about me and my past, but how to be a better parent. And it works for me. So kudos to you for getting a better understanding of ACEs and using that as a tool as a mother. Because without it, you wouldn't have known those things that happened or those things that were triggering to your son.
Right. And you know what's I'm gonna say the word interesting loosely. Um, the more I learned about ACEs, the coincidence, the more I learned about ACEs, and like I said, it helped me be a better parent. And I've always been a good mom. That's something I can pride myself. I can admit that with
Mm,
confidence. But the more of that, but on the other side, um, I've been essentially being punished is how I say it. I probably shouldn't say it like this. It's kind of maybe self-defeating, but from a mindset point, but um, I've been punished and not been able to parent, not been allowed to parent because of custody change, because of false allegations and that. But yet I'm saying I did what I can do to learn because I saw how life affected my children.
mhm,
And a court felt that it was better for the little one to be with the person who abused me.
mm.
So it's really crazy,
Yes.
how life works and how God does what he does the way he does it. Um, but I'm confident it's for uh there's this is all happening for us. It's not happening to
Mhm.
us.
Right.
Yep.
Now you may mention that your understanding of ACEs really came based off of you being a mother. Tell us about your childhood experiences though. Were there any ACEs in your childhood?
Um, so let me I might get a little emotional.
It's okay.
And not so much my childhood, but with my kids. But
Yes.
just so I don't I marked a couple things that I thought might help because like I said, I didn't realize some of this until I was older.
Right.
So yeah, I have some aces. Well, I'll just say some off the top of my head first. My dad was incarcerated.
Mm.
My parents were divorced. That's two separate ones right there.
Mhm.
um, the okay, this is not a direct question, but did your parents or guardians harbor you can guide me however you want and
No,
cut me off if you
you're
need to,
good.
because I'm kind of trying to cover a lot in a short time.
Yeah.
Um, did they harbor major secrets from you regarding finances, illnesses, blah blah? So I'm Muslim. I'm an Arab, Palestinian, um, pure breed. Both parents are Palestinian. I was raised in a very culturally strict, but not religiously strict. And a lot of times they confuse the two
Mhm.
to oftentimes for personal gain, whichever whichever was more important. But so there was a lot of hiding, a lot of secrets. Um, with my mom, now I'm just talking specific to my household. So it was me, my mother, my brother, who's 4 years older. I'm 45.
Mhm.
Um, everything, most of the answers I'd get throughout childhood, I can just remember, I'll tell you when you're older. I'll tell you when you get older.
Right.
And she never told me stuff when I got older.
Right.
Um, so hiding things in the household, not just secrecy, like don't tell, what it's like in African American families where you better not tell anybody what goes on outside. It's the same.
I'm glad you said it.
Oh yeah,
Because, again, ACEs doesn't have a color.
right.
And the things that you're going through does not have a color at all. You know what I mean? And so the same thing that your parents said, same thing my
Yeah.
parents.
But it wasn't just hide it from the outside world, but it was within. Like, I didn't know so much. And if you ask me, well, why was your dad in, like, as crazy as this sounds, um, the uh the unfolding of all of this whole experience, learning and going back in time, going back and um my childhood and looking at my children, it's like, the onion, peeling all these layers, and um it's kind of, and I feel bad. I'm sorry, I apologize. I feel bad right now. Like, it's overwhelming because I never really talked about it like this with me. It's only been the kids' side. So I don't feel like I'm articulating myself the way I
Oh,
would
you're
like,
fine.
but
I want you to get comfortable. I want you to be comfortable talking to this. You have to understand. I think this is the thing. And I think I'm going to love this so much. It was hard for me to tell my story to this day. I still have to call my parents and say, hey, I did a podcast, slipped up and said a few things. Just want you to know that I said it. But these are the things that happened in my childhood.
uh,
These are these things. And it helps me to share. And I'm telling you now, what you're doing now is going to inspire somebody else to come out and tell their story. That's the reason why I'm doing this. I don't understand why people are not taking this pandemic, because I think ACEs is a pandemic, seriously. And I understand that you haven't shared it, but look at how many other people have not shared it. 1 in 6 people have ACEs. So this isn't uncommon. We have it. People just don't know or understand it. And getting that understanding and getting that what you're doing now, sharing, is going to help.
yeah,
Trust me. Because guess what? My parents were divorced too.
okay.
Do you understand? You're not by yourself. This
Uh,
this and guess what? Let me throw out there that my understanding of marriage, I did 13 years, and I did 13 years because I thought that was the right thing to do. And my kids have ACEs because I got a divorce from their father. Do you
I
understand?
I beat you though. I've been divorced twice.
See, see, see?
And um okay, so going back to the childhood question, was I punished for
Oh,
expressing myself or sharing opinions? I was a very quiet, I was quiet for years.
really?
Um, the So many things were culturally taboo, you don't talk about.
Right.
Um, so much inside the home that was not shared. Like, don't question things, don't ask.
But you grew up as a Muslim, so there were certain things that you couldn't do anyway, right?
Right, but I was like, on Instagram, I learn about all these things that you say for so long, and then you realize you're saying the wrong thing. Like I was the poster child for like the perfect kid, the obedient and all that stuff. I guess it's not a healthy way to refer to it, but I don't know. Um, I was such a good kid. I didn't question anything. I mean, good for them. As long as I did everything that was told and what was asked of me, and don't go to I couldn't go to anything that had where there were boys. I mean,
Mm.
like stuff that is just my kids wouldn't. They don't understand. Like, they're grateful. They actually say, "I'm so glad you're not like that."
Uh,
And so I was so sheltered, and I think some of this is uh, a mixture of some of these questions, but I was just so sheltered that I realized how it helped mold how I became, Um, and so I said I've been married twice and divorced twice. And I
mhm.
think of my childhood, I sincerely think that if my childhood was different and I could share, I mean, I felt I was emotionally taken care of and I wasn't emotionally neglected, but
Right.
I couldn't say anything that was against popular belief, or like I couldn't say something that my mom would disagreed with, because it would be brushed off as like, yeah, right, over my dead body kind of thing. And that's like, okay, you don't say anything else. um and I think if it wasn't like that, then I would, and I didn't have a lot of relationship experience, as I like as an adult.
Mhm.
So I think childhood being different would have helped me in the relationship and not, take so much um abuse I didn't realize was abuse at the time, I just because it was this is what you do.
Right.
Uh
And guess what? You're right.
yeah.
Because you weren't aware. You were born into this. You said something very important. You said that your kids don't do or weren't raised how you were raised, which
Oh
makes
yeah.
you a cycle breaker.
Oh, I am definitely. I would, yeah. And it's not easy. It
Mm-mm,
is not easy being a cycle breaker, whether
mm-mm,
it's intentional or not. Let me tell you, like the healing is not linear thing. A
mhm,
big part of that is because I am a cycle breaker. Having to, what boundaries are like
mhm.
when you were raised, or for years and years, you had these relationships or these customs and traditions and that, and you're trying to change them because you know that that is not healthy for you.
Right.
Mm, that then that the cycle breaker is seen as the rebel with a cause, the ones who make history, they aren't looked upon favorably, but eventually they are, then um it's not all that the struggle wasn't in vain, and I'm determined because there's been a lot of struggle, and I just know I'll be damned if any of it's in vain. I'm gonna help do what I can do as a parent, for
Hmm.
my children, but then for others, because I see how much I've learned and how much I feel everything so much more now. My empathy in that is um seeing kids in public who are with their parent and how the parent handles a situation, and I just feel so bad sometimes, like you want to help them, but just keep your business to yourself.
But you are helping our youth. You sent me a very nice post that I posted and shared with everybody. Tell us what you're currently doing to help the youth now.
I don't remember what I sent you, but I know a lot of times I'll see something and I think of you right away. But what I'll just briefly touch on it, and I say briefly because I haven't done as much as I
Right.
wanted to. My son's football season and my daughter's schedule being different, like the back to school time just delayed things a little bit.
That's
But
fine.
so ACE mobility is, ACE, adverse childhood experiences, T for so many things. The T could be about like transforming, trans, just adverse childhood experiences transformed, and it's yoga-ish. So I say mobility sounds nice. Um, I became a kids yoga teacher, and this is fairly recent. The way that started was, I'm going to be sharing that soon because I'm going to be sharing, essentially it was all in real time as it was learning about ACEs and the solution part as well with my son. Um, and I want to help underprivileged children, and um, I'm good. I haven't gotten emotional to this point. People who have been affected by domestic violence, if
Mhm,
not the kids directly, but indirectly, child abuse, sexual assault, homelessness, all those kids, all the places where the money is not.
mhm,
Those are the kids I want to help. I can help them with, build resilience and um, confidence as they're going through this journey that they don't even realize they're going through. We
mhm.
see it from the outside, and it's just, I feel like it's our duty to, I mean, I have to, because
Right.
um and movement.
So you know that I am heavy on extracurricular activity.
Uh-huh.
I've always been um, raised on extracurricular activity. And to see that you're doing that and that the CDC has placed the emphasis on extracurricular activity as a resiliency tool,
Mhm.
congratulations. Because you're going to make such an impact. You already told us, we know that you're a great mom. We already know that you're a cycle breaker. And now you're going to make such an impact. This is what you're destined to do. Because all of those people are going to, you're saving their life. For all of the people that you mentioned, the homelessness, the community violence, all the things that you've talked about. Yeah. That yoga is therapy. It's
Yeah.
therapy for a lot of people. You're going to make such an impact. You're going to come back and tell your story, and I'm going to just be clapping and grinning and everything else because I think this is what you're supposed to be doing. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah.
should.
And
You
I'm trying to be patient with myself,
should.
um, because of how this is so big. Like
Mm-hmm.
not just what I've gone through and what I'm looking back, I'm like looking back at the past and my kids and ahead to all the people that I could help. It's just it's overwhelming in a good way. And so I'm trying to um give myself grace when I do get in my field. Um or okay, next. I feel like I'm trying to gather myself, get back my composure, I guess.
You're
Um,
doing well. And guess what? You're supposed to be talking to me. You're not talking to nobody else. So we're supposed to
and
be having this conversation, and I get it. It's not a topic that people want to talk about, which is the reason why I do like lunch and learns and professional development and after school matters or things of that nature because it's not an easy thing to discuss at all.
yeah.
It's a very sensitive topic and it makes people emotional. But I'm telling you, you're not alone in your journey. You are not at all.
Let me share a little something that is relevant to not just children,
Mhm,
but what I learned after knowing what ACEs are.
mhm.
I went through the full police. I'm a physician assistant, but I went through the full police academy.
Good for you.
I never worked as an officer, although I
Mm,
wanted to be a police officer since I was a child.
right.
I think it was a blessing that I never did. Um, and so after learning about ACEs, and then we went through that period of well, it happens in cycles, but just so much negativity and so much happening, and George Floyd, and it's just like it was nonstop for a little while,
Yeah,
right?
well. Mhm.
It's like a cloud of um, was it 20? It was the beginning of it was 2022, wasn't it?
I want to say anywhere between 2020 and 2020 and now. So
Yeah.
anywhere between that range.
Anyway, so not, I mean, from my training, police training, which really isn't that much, um, and then all that and the everything, all the injustice done to Black men and people in general too, but Black men. And I
Mhm.
started reflecting back and realizing how much of a blessing I think it was that I never worked as an officer, because I think I never would have made it. I mean, I finished everything and graduated, passed all the tests. Shoot, I was working in the ER at the same time and barely had time to study. So it was, I did good.
Yeah.
But then I saw how I think most of the problems are, it's not what these kids did. This kid
Mhm.
started running, or this kid, even if this kid stole something, like the way, the lack of insight and life experience, and to de-escalate, or to like not pass judgment, or just ask why is somebody doing this, instead of go understand, um just not the act, but the not the wait, how does it go, the difference between they're reacting, basically reacting and inappropriately overreacting to something, and they're essentially the police officers creating
Right.
the biggest part of the problem, I think.
Mhm.
So
I had a police department on the East Coast um extend an offer to me to do a police training on ACEs for the new police officers. Um, my purpose was for the officers to know about their ACEs and about the people that they were going to arrest, to give them a better understanding of who they were arresting.
Oh, that would be so
So
good.
I want to say it worked. I was just excited that they reached out and was like, yeah, this is ACEs. You need to understand this because community violence is real, and you all are going to be new officers, and these are going to be some of your people that are potential people that you will arrest. And it sounds bad, but it gave them a better understanding of ACEs. I know it did. The survey said so. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
you
I
did do, oh, you did go out there and do it.
Mhm,
Oh, nice. Okay.
mhm, mhm.
Oh,
And
that's
so it's interesting that you say you did it, but you didn't go through the whole, you went through the training and all that good stuff as a police officer, but that's tedious too. That's very hard.
yeah, I did a lot. I didn't know near the end, I didn't know I was pregnant. And
Oh.
so I was going on interviews like out to here.
Mhm,
But then I started having or realizing the problem I had in my marriage, and I was going through divorce. So it's so much happened, and just it, just kept. Uh, it just didn't work out for me to. I lived in a different geographic area. I
mhm,
didn't want to stay there, so it was kind of a blessing that I didn't get a job in those areas.
mhm. How do
Um,
you how do you heal? Because I know that that is something that we've talked about, and we talk about that often. How do you heal? What are some of the tools and some of the things that you do to help you heal?
what I do is first thing. Um, there's things I do in general, but as far as the routine goes, early morning before the sun rises, my favorite time, and I have that time alone. Um, I'll meditate, just the quiet itself. And before literally I get up so early before the birds get up, and then I get to hear the birds. And to me, it's just so that that type of peace is
Mm-hmm.
so underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started seeking out different things. I realized, wow, nature is really a beautiful thing. um, so I started hiking.
Good.
Um, Yeah. I started doing yoga. Like I actually this is my heavy. So
Mm-hmm.
I started doing yoga. But then I felt like I had to put that on hold because I was needed to do work from the inside out. So the yoga thing came first. And then I had to do the inside work, healing work. Then I realized I didn't balance it so much, and I did gain weight, but I'm trying to get back to that balance. But the biggest thing is just being like mindfulness.
Right.
There's so many ways to be mindful, and intentional ways, and then it just becomes just second nature.
Right.
Something that I really love is that my creativity has grown exponentially. Like I can't even keep up with some of my creativity, and one thing specifically is my writing.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to write, but I write a lot more.
Good.
I don't share that much as I plan to, because I'm actually going to publish something. So it's want to publish my story, but it's just ongoing. So when do I just do the poetry thing so this is stuff that I've just been uh back and forth about, and you're just making decisions, um trying to do things in a methodical way that's good for me and for my family.
Mm-hmm.
What else? The biggest thing is mindfulness and prayer, God, belief in. I mean, if I had nothing else, but like you having that faith
Right.
is just
Because
is
everybody
that
has
that's
a different
healing.
story. It is.
Yeah.
Everybody's story is different, but you're doing it and you're
Hmm.
doing it every day. I say the same thing that I promise everything that you're saying is like, I've been trying to write this book for the longest, but I think it'd be good to just give people a better understanding and allow them to express their healing. Because yeah, you're right. It's a journey. And
Sorry, my
healing,
foot's asleep. I have to move for a second.
oh no, you're fine. Healing is a journey. There's no stop, there's no pause, there's it's a forever process. It's a
Uh-huh.
process that you have to take. You're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days, but you
Right.
are healing. You mentioned hiking.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned meditating. You mentioned,
Water too. Oh, the water is just, oh
yeah.
my gosh, I love being by the water.
Mhm.
Paddle boarding, kayaking, like, and this is stuff that I'm 45 and I didn't do this stuff till like this old. Is it just people like me who have, were so sheltered that never experienced some things?
You
Like,
know what it's called?
yeah, why do white people are always like so,
They get to, I mean, people get a chance to do it when they do it, but I don't think they understand it like they should and how much gratitude and appreciation it will give you, which is the reason why I value extracurricular activity.
Yeah,
Everything you just mentioned is extracurricular activity.
yeah.
You got to look at it from that standpoint because it helps you. It helps you heal.
Oh yeah.
When you are listening to the birds, you're listening to the birds. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just
Uh-huh.
appreciating the sound of nature.
And there are things that, financial abuse is a big part of what I had to go through,
Mhm.
and affected my kids too.
Oh, wow.
These are things that don't cost money,
Mm-mm,
you know?
mm-mm. But they're ISIS,
Hmm.
and we have to do something about it. If we
I mean, the
don't,
healing, the different ways to using different modalities, they don't have to cost money. So
mm-mm,
it's, it's nice to share that with others, what I've done and what I can, how I can teach other children
mhm.
what to do at certain times or, um, yeah, that's,
I think you're amazing.
thank
This wasn't bad at all, and you were able to share your story, and you didn't. You were emotional, but you were okay. I talked you through it. See, it was like talking to a friend. It wasn't that bad,
no,
right?
and I just feel, um, if I had done more work on, like, okay, I have a therapist. I really like my therapist. Um,
Oh,
yeah, what?
that's good.
Yeah. So, this is stuff that I'm just now starting to talk about with her because she's helping me identify some things.
Good.
Um, went to her because of like post domestic violence.
Mhm.
And as we get more into our professional relationship, she's, mentions things that I'm like, wow, this is so um this is so good. It's bad, but it's good.
Mhm.
uh so this is
And
really the
I
first
asked
time
you,
aside from my therapist that I'm
when
talking
did
about.
you start going to therapy?
um that's a good question. I don't know how to answer that with a date or a time frame, because I tried to find, like, I really wanted one.
Right.
um but I met someone once and I'm like, this is not going to work.
Mhm.
Uh, or the next one, met somebody once, a few times actually, but she was so unreliable and she
Mm.
was so young. And I'm like, the things that I was going to have to talk to her about, like, it just doesn't, it's not going to work if your children are in the background screaming, and I'm talking about my kid who was taken away.
Right.
So, the one that I have was, even though I was healing and I felt like it was at a good rate,
Mhm.
somebody else said that, she knows someone, but she's really backed up, and that was what are we in October, right?
Mhm.
this It was some months ago. It was sometime this year. So all this time, and I didn't have someone on a regular basis that I really liked until like a handful of months ago, basically.
Oh,
So anybody who feels like a therapist doesn't work, or just keep trying until you find one that you're comfortable with. Really, like, the biggest thing for me was someone that understands me. You don't have to look like me, but just some things you got to explain to someone. And it's like, I don't want to explain everything to you, you
right.
know?
But your new the therapist that you have now, you're developing your relationship and you're able to start talking and going through some things. That's good for you.
Right. It's good for me. It's good. It helps in many ways, not just my aces, which, like I said, I don't think my childhood was bad, but
Mhm.
looking back, there were some bad things that happened. But helping my kids, but helping me with being productive in a day, or helping me with, like, hey, what do you think? Should I apply to this job, or should I uh start this business. I mean, like I could talk to her about anything, and it's good because like, the even though I'm making the decisions on my own ultimately, but just her knowing the different ways that some of my decisions could impact other areas of my life, it's nice.
That's good to have that relationship.
Mhm.
It really is. So congratulations to you. I'm really looking forward to um, a follow-up because I know that you are going through some things. And while you're still in the middle of a lot when it comes to your kids, it's still a struggle. But I want to commend you for being here.
Thank you
We
so
got
much.
through it. We're
I
here.
I I think a follow-up would be great, and I feel like I owe you a follow-up because of not just the timing. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so many things happened in this month when I didn't even realize it was this awareness month,
Mhm.
but a handful of years ago. So it's a little bit of that, and it's things that are unfolding in my life as as we speak, and the ways that I'm trying to make advances for me and my family and the world. A lot in a short time, and I feel like a follow-up would be really it'd be good for everybody.
I want them to see you. I want them to see you now because this is what it is.
Yeah.
And until people understand and know in its entirety and how to go through the process and how to help. So you have people that have ACEs, you have people that have are healing, you have it, but you're right in the middle. And it's great for people to see this because ACEs doesn't have a color, it doesn't have a time limit, it doesn't have it is what it is. And so I want to thank you seriously for being here because there are other people out there just like you. You've answered all the questions. Surprise, surprise. Of course, there were tons of questions. However, you've answered a lot of the questions. And so I want to thank you. How do you feel?
Good. I mean, good. It's just, I just wish I could have offered more, but I feel good. I feel like I'm happy that even though I would say that it wasn't as smooth as I would like, but that's okay. That's part of the process. Um, and it helped me. So this was like a free therapy session. Uh,
I just want you to share your
yeah.
story, and you did
Let me
it.
just say real quick part. One of the biggest things that's gone on in these recent months is I didn't see my son who's now 8. It was 211 days I did not see him. So you
Wow.
go from being the mom that you love to be,
Mhm.
and a mama's boy, and just so nurturing, and all of a sudden like somebody can say something, and um then you don't see your child. So that's what's been very, very hard on me. And that's reinforces what I want to do with respect to the kids' mobility,
Mhm.
but also not even realizing that I was helping my son. I picked up on something that he was doing. He was playing, this was during COVID. Uh,
Mhm.
the mobility things, and I have videos of him saying, is this yoga, and that's going to be part of my story. So
Oh
I
yeah.
was helping him before he was even taken away from me. So learning about ACEs is not just about learning about what happened in the past. It's about also about healing, but the different ways to heal and to respond to situations. And so in teaching anybody really, I'm not helping them right now, I'm helping them in the future, and that's what I unknowingly did. And so thank you for this opportunity to share whatever I did share.
I
um,
thank you.
and
It's
you're so amazing. You're so like, you'd be so cool to go out with.
I just want you to know that this is appreciated. This I've always wanted to. We can only meet virtually unless I'm
Right.
on the East Coast, but guess what? You're here,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're here is everything to me because you support me and you know that this is real, and you've learned from me, and you're learning, and you've applied that to not just yourself, you've applied it to your family, and I know there's going to be other people that really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
It's your path. I could tell that your authenticity, and you're passionate about it. Anybody can sit and read a paper or tell you memorize something and say this is what ACEs are, and these are the different categories, and but like, that's you when you talk or you deliver, like I feel it.
Oh.
Like I feel it goes, it's
Thank you.
special. So you're
Yeah. Well, see, the live thing is what we really needed to do too. Like we needed this because we've always exchanged with each other and talked to each other, but there's nothing like this. And if you can feel this like I do through this, yeah, this is a good episode. So thank you. Look at that smile. We got a smile. We got a smile.
really like in
Yeah.
real life, regular, not talking about this kind of stuff. I'm goofy. I'm silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I laugh all the time, and it's that's what's gotten me through, some of the worst times. Like, just you can't just stop life. You can't.
You can.
It's not fair.
It's not.
Just
It's not.
it's
And
counterproductive.
the smile is everything because we have aces,
Yeah.
but we have to continue to do what we need to do in order to to not move forward, move with it and live. And that's what you're doing. Everything that you talked about, you're living. I appreciate it. I know that you haven't gotten the businesses and things together, but um, where can people find you on social media?
My name is Shehnaz Abdrabboh. My Instagram, what do you call the thing? Like at thing.
Yes.
I have to ask my kids about tech stuff. Is
Me too.
Shehnazze. So it's a little longer than my name. Uh,
Mhm.
but I'm
They
I
can
won't
go on
share
my
the web.
page
Yeah, I won't
all
share
the
website.
time. They can go on my page anytime, all the time, and you're on there. Trust.
Uh-huh. Thank
Yeah,
you so much. I appreciate you.
I
And I
appreciate
like
it.
to try not to look around, but like, some of what you have behind you.
So if you are interested, seriously, this is my story. Two of my sisters gave me this. Born and raised in Kansas City. All of my education came from Chicago, and I currently live in Dallas. This is to help me remind me of every day because I forget and be victorious. I drew it myself.
Your name is perfect.
Oh, thank you. It was given to me seriously. So I really appreciate that.
Uh,
Really it's humbling for people to say it. And people say it all the time and they accept it and they call me that. And it's like, yeah, that's me. It's so cool. It really is. So thank you again.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
we'll be giving updates sooner. But for everyone out there, you already know where to find me. I am Dr. Victorious everywhere. Facebook. I am on Twitter. I am on TikTok. I'm on there too. Be Victorious is my business. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye bye.